if they went out, is there any way they can be jumped by Kansas or Purdue, the second number one seed?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Especially
Kansas
when you think of
winning the
Kansas and
Big
the Big
12.
12.
Yes.
If they win out, if they absolutely, and it's kind of interesting. That's a conversation that we had before this game about how first and second round not
Right.
matchups, locations work out, and then even Purdue as well, being in the Big Ten and playing their other teams in that conference, if they can win the Big Ten tournament. I absolutely can see Houston being jumped. Even Alabama, who is in a really tough outing against South Carolina tonight, they came away with a victory. And I mean, a lot of different things are going on with the Alabama program, but it's an interesting point from Houston because even if they were to win out and do everything they're supposed to, we still see them sliding out. I could see them sliding out
I
from that
can see
national
it
perspective.
because they're not in a power conference. And
And
a
the quad
loss
one opportunities.
like Virginia had today on the road at Boston College hurts the Cougs, because it was a bad loss for Virginia. Other teams, like if St. Mary stumbles, that looks bad for the Cougs. Little things like that because the Cougs are not in a power conference. That's just part of the issue they have for a few more weeks. It won't be an issue in the Big 12, come July 1st and then season in the fall. But they can still be number one seed. They could still be one of the best teams come tournament time. And there's not too many teams that want to play Houston. And there's not too many teams that can beat Houston in the tournament.
Yeah, I don't think that those teams can jump Houston if Houston take care of business. I think Houston's resume is going to be what it is going to be good enough. And I think the eye test, it will be taken in consideration how Houston has looked and how dominant and consistent they've been throughout the season. I think the respect from Houston program overall will hold them in that spot if they take care of business and don't lose. I think Kansas may have a slight opportunity, but they won't go undefeated for the rest of the season. They may win the Big 12. Yeah. And they'll get respect for winning the Big 12, but it's not going to be at this point in dominant fashion to where, in my opinion, they'll jump Houston. And so I think Houston, if they just take care of their business, they can only go up, in my opinion.
I hope you're right, but you're in the minority of national opinion, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because excuse me, real quick, Andy. During the broadcast of the game on Monday, Kansas and was it Baylor?
Mm-hmm.
And they brought it up there.
TCU.
Yeah, TCU. I'm sorry, TCU. Baylor was on Saturday. They brought it up during the broadcast, and I hadn't even thought about it. But someone brought it up by if Kansas wins out the remaining games in the Big 12 and then wins the Big 12 Conference Championship, they should be the number one overall seed, not just bump Houston, but the number one overall seed. And I was like, really? During this broadcast? So the discussion, people are thinking about it. And it's just one of those things that the Cougs, because they're not in a power conference, have to deal with. And it's not right, fair, whatever. But, Dan, I agree with you. I just don't believe enough other people agree with us.
Yeah, even with the Purdue.
Right now, those people are just talking just like we talking.
Yeah.
And so I think when it comes down to those people in the rooms making those decisions, reality will set in, I think. We'll see, though.
I will say it seems like the Boilermakers are kind of trending in the direction you don't want to be trending in heading into March now. Obviously, there's still 2 weeks where they can turn it around. I think Kansas is much more – they have a much more argument. Yeah. Right, correct, because of how tough the Big 12 is, the opportunity that they have to be able to go out and win the Big 12. I'd certainly see the Jayhawks being able to make the argument. Purdue, not so much with kind of the stumbles that they've had in the last few days and really the past few weeks. But it's an interesting conversation. Now, Chris, what I wanted to toss it to you, what we're kind of touching on before the game, even if, say, Kansas were to drop, say, just to make it for simplicity's sake, Alabama and Kansas got ahead, or they finished, so come Selection Sunday, they're the higher seeds than Houston. And even if Alabama were to stay in the South region, Kansas got to the Midwest region, and whichever, if Houston were part of the East or West region, they would still have their first or second round games in the locations closest to them, correct?
Correct. I'm 99% sure of this. I'm going to confirm it in the morning with the NCAA office. But even if Kansas will go any of the 4 seeds, it will go to the regional, first round site closest to them. So for Kansas, that's Des Moines. Okay, so that's where they'll be first. And then Houston and Alabama would be in Birmingham in the first 2 rounds. They can still be sent to different regions, like we've seen in bracketology, Coogs in Alabama for the first 2 rounds, but they are in the Kansas City region because right now they are the second overall number 1 seed. Another, like Bama, would be in the Louisville region, for example. Kansas will still be in Des Moines for the first 2 rounds, but then they would be sent to Las Vegas regional. So the first 2 rounds, city-wise, the team will go to the city closest to them. The committee goes by within driving distance, officially, within like 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours, if it's a drive. So the closest city for the Cougs is Birmingham. The closest for Kansas is Des Moines. So that's where they will be regardless of regional site. But first 2 rounds, Des Moines for Kansas, Birmingham for Houston.
I want to bring up King Jaja's comment. Worst case scenario for Houston is in the West region. I would disagree with that. I would say the worst case scenario is if they somehow ended up in the Midwest region with Kansas. I think that would be the worst case scenario for Houston for the reason that you stated, where that regional would be in Kansas City, Missouri.
The way Kansas is playing lately, it'd be more of a battle.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it's going to happen. I mean, Tennessee lost. Tennessee's going in the wrong direction, like Purdue's going in the wrong direction. Just from the reveal on Saturday, teams have lost. So as long as the Cougs do their part, they'll be fine. And Andy, you said it. Kansas is, I think, the only team that could jump Houston in seeding. Nobody else. As long as the Cougs win, of course.
Agreed. And again, with kind of limited opportunities left for Q1s, at Memphis will be a quad 1 opportunity. Neutral site, depending on where Memphis is, if they were to meet Memphis in the American Athletic Conference tournament, that could potentially be another neutral site game. But I'm not sure where Tulane is in the net rankings. But outside of Memphis, I think that's really the only chance that Houston has at quad 1 wins, correct? 2 more opportunities. UCF, I guess, since they are in the top 6, but even in a neutral site, it wouldn't be enough, correct? Because neutral site games are 1 through 45, I want to say.
We could look it up, but the Cougs would probably have to lose twice, and I'm not sure a loss in the conference tournament would hurt them, unless in the first round. Beyond that, because they're pretty much locked into their position. As long as they don't lose like Saturday to East Carolina, have another bad loss, they should be fine. So they'll do their part. They'll be okay. And clearly, if they win at Memphis on March 5th in a game that means a lot for Memphis and beyond the Cougs, wanting to fine tune and beat a rival, that game means nothing because the Cougs should have wrapped up the regular season title by then. So,
they could do it as soon as Saturday.
Yeah. But Memphis wants to win that game because it's Houston and Memphis, all those other things. But in the grand scheme of things, if the Cougs win at Memphis, it could help them, but it won't hurt them if they lose.
Absolutely. And Big Jack 512 makes a great point. Alabama still has to play a red hot Texas A&M team right now at the moment. Mr. Smith put it right there. Quad 1 for neutral is 1 through 50, according to Mr. Smith, which would put UCF, which is the 3rd team when it comes to the net rankings in the American, just outside of that. So really, it's just Houston and Memphis from that standpoint. But